projects out into the world. And my mission has always been to change lives that can go on and change other lives. And so really how I have connected more closely with you is through Olivia Chapman, who's our director of training and our co-founder of our training program. And Olivia was one of my early, and, you know, my whole thing is like, I may not be able to reach every woman. I mean, I can't. And so, you know, and beyond, right? Like I say, we teach women, but, you know, I'm so grateful to connect with you, and I'm so grateful for kind of the domino effect that happens through this work. And I know that you're impacting so many lives. It's so exciting to be a part of this. And I get to go to different people's, you know, women's circles or in things like this. And I don't know, it's just really exciting to see the domino effect and the impact that we can have by showing up and speaking our truth. And I think so often, you know, it feels like an inch, right? It's like, gosh, it takes a lot to get like one thing done in the world. Collectively, so many people taking, you know, steps, and whether it's an inch or a mile or whatever, we really can create others. So I'm grateful to be here, and I'm just, you know, grateful to be a part of your life and witness the work that you're doing, because what you're doing is very, very education, and it is a huge gap in a place where we need a lot of help and support. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. It's definitely a love fest between us, for sure. And this is, so one of the fun parts, as I was saying to Katie before anyone else joined, one of the most fun parts of doing this is these are very raw, and ultimately the replays will be unedited recordings. So if you hear weird things in the background, or hopefully Katie's dog will join us too at some point and bark at some point too.
He's in another room.
Oh, darn. Louie's great. A funny thing that I just realized is, as soon as Katie started talking, I realized I hadn't recorded my first part. So I'm going to do Katie's introduction again in just a few minutes too, in case there's anyone who missed that. But let's just dig into getting to the details for now, though. So we talked a bit about IGC, about Inner Glow Circle. Tell the ladies that are here, and any men that might join us too, it's good for them to know too, how powerful we women are becoming in the world. Tell us a bit more about the mission and the vision, like what you're hoping to accomplish ultimately by having this organization.
Yeah. So, I mean, our official mission is spirituality and personal development in style. So what I wanted to do was make this world of personal development more accessible to people, you know, because it can be really dry and heavy, and we feel like we're never really getting there. And so I wanted to create a way to do it that felt cohesive, and our sisterhood, support, and empowerment. And I believe that's how we change the world. I think it's really difficult to do it on our own. Saying before, like, the domino effect is so important. It's important to be, you know, banding together. But really, like, I just want to create more female leaders. So, you know, we talk about closing the wage gap. We talk about having women find their voice. And we talk a lot about giving people the courage to tell the truth about their past, to tell the truth about what they're feeling in the moment, and then to really be honest with themselves about what they want in the future. And in this work for 4 years now, officially. And what I've learned is, like, so many of us aren't telling the full truth, and that many of us feel alone is because, you know, you're having a bad day and you feel like, oh my God, I'm the only one. I'm such a loser. Nothing's working. When we can come together and say, wait, I feel the same thing, you know, and often it happens in waves. Like, that's what I've noticed in that we'll have weeks where, you know, everybody's having a tough week, and we'll have weeks where everybody's crushing it and winning. And so I don't know if it's soon or the stars or we're just all vibing together, but we really want to create more female leaders, help them launch their businesses, and then give them the courage to tell the truth about their lives and get the support they need.
So really interesting, because I talk to lots of educators, I know Jean's on the line with us now, for example, lots of folks who have worked in more quote unquote traditional jobs and then have decided to go on their own and do things independently, whether they're kind of like I like to say the solopreneur or starting something like you're doing that's got several others that are part of your official team and so forth. What kind of made you feel like you were the one to make this happen? Like what gave you the confidence to just go out and do it? I think a lot of people have some great ideas in their head and they just won't go out and do it because a million things. So what made you feel like the time was right, to just go for it and so forth?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough question because I think still like sometimes like, am I the right person for this? I think for me, it was, we always say like, you have to create the thing that you wish existed. You have to create the thing that you want to be in the world, and you're right, Alicia, so many people want how many people I have this great idea for a product. I have this great idea for a business. And, we get, if you're an entrepreneurial type or you're a creative type, you like of ideas coming in and out of your head almost every day.
Yeah.
And so, I think enough people were coming to me and asking for it to get a lot of signs from, for me, it's God, some people it's the universe, but I started to get a lot of signs, and those signs were basically saying what people need. It was saying, women feel alone in starting their businesses. I had clients, I had friends, I had colleagues that I knew in the industry, and everyone was kind of saying the same thing. Everyone was saying they wanted like a mega tribe. They wanted a place where they could all bring their people and friends and father and all gather together and see what we can create as a community. And so, I'm a pretty good connector. A lot of what I do is like, oh, this person needs to talk to this person and this person, and I'm pretty good at matchmaking. So I would often be like, matchmaking clients and referring people to Olivia or whoever. And, this is who you really need to talk to, you need to work with. And so I knew I had some of those gifts, but I really just felt like a call forward, and it definitely hasn't been easy. I understand why people don't go for it, but it's absolutely worth it. And you feel that pull that says there's something more here. There's something more for me to create. You have to listen to it.
Sure. And I'm curious too about why you decided to do something that's so service-based too. I mean, I kind of, as I've said to you before, I refer to IGC as sort of a movement. It's more than just like a source of business and income, although that's, you get that out of it. Why do something like this that's so service focused, not just about you and widgets or something?
Yeah. Well, I joke that IGC is a nonprofit because, there's such a difference. There's such a difference between profit and revenue. And I think when you're starting a business, that's one of the things that can be very confusing. And this is actually my third business. So somebody said the other day, a lot of people, you'll hear entrepreneurs will say, this is my fifth business. Like, I hope I don't have to get that far to really be successful and have it all work. But, I've always felt called to serve. I'm definitely like a generous person, and probably give more than I need to a lot of the time. And, I've always wanted to be one of those people who like wants to help and wants to make a difference and wants to see an impact. And to me, and this is my opinion, like there's no point if we're not kind of advancing things forward. And I needed to be part of something that was bigger than myself. And I didn't see marketplace, and I had some resources and people, financial resources, energy, time, ideas, all of those are resources.
Sure.
Okay, this is going to be birthed through me. I never felt like it was like totally my idea. I always felt like it was something to push out into the world. So, and you bring up a great point. Like in the beginning, when you're starting a business, you reinvest you want to continue to grow either in quality or quantity or, your systems. And so, we're still in our early years, still trying to make it all work. There's different challenges, but it's, and you said something like this, but it is a movement. It is like to showing women, this is how we can work together.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the other really big challenges. Traditionally, women have for resources, and so have men, but I'm really big into how can we support each other? How can we, what does it look like really live in a world where there isn't scarcity, where we know there's always an abundant flow of more clients, more money, more resources, whatever we need. And so, it's, you just have to tap in and believe that every day. And even if the numbers aren't matched up, so it's a journey, but it's a movement, and I'm happy to be part of it. Mute.
Can you
now we can. Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not echoing in any way, am I?
You're what? Echoing? No.
Okay, good. So again, as you know, I work with lots of educators. So folks that are on the phone today are typically people in the education space in some way. And I talk with a lot of my kind of people that are in the reform group, or just people that I coach all the time about getting out of only doing the work that they feel like they should be doing. And instead really stepping into the work that they want to be doing, that they really feel called to be doing, and that sets their soul on fire. Sometimes that's referred to as like your passion work sort of thing. Excuse me. And so I've heard you say some really powerful things before about getting out of the shoulds. Can you kind of share some of that anti-should with folks today?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So the first thing I always say is should is a lie. So when you hear should, you have to interrupt yourself. It's a pattern, right? And it comes from, our moms, you should clean your room, or your teacher, you should do your homework, or your boyfriend saying, you should wear this dress or whatever, all this stuff out in the world. And so I always say should is a lie. And almost every time I start, they're like, well, I think I should do this. And and I'm like, we got to interrupt this should, or you got to stop shelf, just, and kind of, being light with it, because it is something that we just get into the pattern of doing and saying. And so we have to interrupt ourselves. And so I think the number one, relanguaging things. I think language, this is important in education, obviously, but language, how we talk to ourselves and how we talk to others, really impacts our outside world. So if I'm always saying I should, I'm putting guilt, I'm putting pressure, I'm putting shame in the space. Right. And so the first thing is relanguaging some of that. And instead of, when you catch yourself saying I should, saying I choose to, or I choose not to, you know what I mean? Or I desire to. So just shifting that language. I know it sounds so simple, but I see huge shifts with people by just starting to choose a different word. So I often say, instead of I should clean my room, or I should go through my email, I want to go through my email, or I'm choosing through my email, because choice is so powerful. It can really propel us. And when we realize that in every moment we're choosing, and so choosing is not sometimes we're not making a choice, and that's our choice.
Sure.
And we have to realize that. We have to take our power back, especially as women. I think we've gotten ourselves into this place as a gender where we feel really stuck. We've got the kids, and we've got the husband or the wife or the partner, and we've got so overcommitted. But we have to realize that we chose that. We chose it. And if we want to choose otherwise, we can. So the number one thing is shifting your language and really realizing that should is a lie. And what's really happened in we're choosing, in every moment we're choosing. And, you know, you asked about doing the work that we want to do instead of what other piece.
Yeah. About the work that we feel like we have to do. Like you said before, kind of the work that your parents think you should be doing, or that,
Right.
people before you, like teachers, for example, always feel like, well, I have to keep teaching, or I have to become a principal next because that's what you do to grow in the profession, or things like that. Getting out of the shoulds. I think like what you just said about the power of changing, I should become, say, a principal, to I want to become a principal. Like if I said that and I didn't want to become a principal, I would stop in my tracks and rethink whether I'm doing it. I really should be doing that.
Totally. And, you know, sometimes we start out with really good intentions, right? We know we're choosing it. We are choosing to get a master's in education and become a teacher. We are choosing to move from pre-K to fifth grade, or we are choosing these things. And then we get in this hole of paperwork and grades and, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, shit, you know, luck there. And so you have to simultaneously work your way out of the current situation and start to choose what you want for your, so for example, even for me, like I have a great life. I do. I've had a lot of tragedy, a lot of, hard times in the past 2 years, that, but I have a good life overall. And I know that there's more. I know that there's like a future where and less challenges to deal with every day. And I have to distinguish, okay, and I can't just throw what I don't want out the window because that's not responsible. And I know that I've chosen it, and it doesn't have to be my reality forever. So it's like simultaneously saying, okay, I did choose this, but I don't like it anymore, or I didn't know what I choose. Yeah. When we get involved in relationships or partnerships, we don't know, okay, I didn't know I was choosing that, but I did say yes and I did choose it. And so work out of it, creating a new reality where it's only what you desire. Like there's way less of the stuff you don't want.
That does. And it feels like you touched a little bit on the idea of sometimes we feel like we should do something because we started doing it. And talk a little bit more about how it's kind of okay to change direction a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or, even an educator, or I think about, like lawyers or doctors, you may be pulled in with a private practice or a school or whatever, but essentially you are a teacher of your craft. And, you might one way and then look at the world. I mean, everything's always changing, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So like your situation changes, your financial situation changes, you're going through a divorce, you have a child that wants to go to college, you decide you're passionate about sex trafficking and you want to make a difference. Like all these things happen, or somebody comes into your life that's like, hey, I have an idea for this new education thing. Are you interested? And you're like, well, I want that, And so I'm really good at the art of pivoting and saying, okay, I was headed in this direction, and then I'm going to go and look. I think everybody's seen those memes or those things on like Facebook that get passed around where it's like people think success this like scribble thing, and I just think about how many times Steve Jobs and his team recreated processed things, or I know he's passed on, but I'm sure he's working hard on the other side. But just like all the brilliant people in the world, I cannot tell you how many times I've started something and just not thrown it away, but like set it aside and said, this is not the time. Or I need to figure this. And we got practice not being attached to our work a little bit, because, you have to really be clear on like your your goal is to improve education and, create more diversity and educate people on the challenges, in the education field right now. What that looks like on a daily basis is always going to be. And so you have to really have posted in your office and on the background on your phone, what is the end result that you're committed to? What are you really committed to? Because I'm really committed to creating more female leaders who are empowered. So that means that when someone comes to me and, you know what, Katie, I'm done with our work together. I feel complete. That is a win for me, and you have to rework your brain, because it's like a client, or, sometimes a project will start to phase out on its own and you're like, but wait, I was attached to that project. I thought that, and it's not, it's never the thing. The thing is your ultimate goal, which is for me to create more female leaders, for you to raise awareness and its caps. That is what you have to be committed to. And we have to practice being committed rather than attached. Because when we attach ourselves and we attach our value to our projects, forget about it. It's like you're constantly battling with your confidence and all these external. So you got to stay committed to the end result and your real, true, highest vision.
Oh, I love that. I had to write that down. Committed rather than attached. That's something I'll have to think about.
Attached.
I love that. So I know you meet a lot of people like this regardless of what sector they work in, but I definitely meet many educators who are passionate about the work that they do. And it's, of course, important work, changing the lives of children. But they also feel this kind of intense guilt about advocating for what they really need and what's kind of best for them. So you and I kind of both know that sort of attitude can often lead to burnout and kind of self-deprecation and things like that. So I'm curious what suggestions you have for ending that cycle.
Yeah. So this is a big conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk a lot about needs, right? And that's always been something I've talked about and kind of preached, is that you have to know what you need. And the reason I started having that conversation with myself and clients was because I had a coach years ago ask me, well, Katie, what do you need? And I got really mad at her because I was like, I don't know what I need. What do you mean? Nobody had ever asked me that question. And so I got really defensive because I didn't have an answer. And I'm one of those people who has an answer for everything, So look, Alicia, do you know what the percentage of male to female is within education?
I don't know the exact. For teachers, it's definitely higher for males in the higher grades, but in elementary, it's definitely something like 1 to 5 or maybe even higher. But it is definitely female dominated.
Yeah. I just, even thinking about my own education experience, I have way more female teachers, but I think that education is largely a female dominated industry.
Yeah.
And why? Because women were always the caretakers of our children and our next generation. And, that's a conversation, right? Getting more male in, and then, looking at, okay, well, why are educators still paid so little when the work that they're doing is so important, and raising awareness and funds around that.
Sure.
But I think it does, I'm really big on responsibility. And I think that it's really hard for women to ask for that motivation to put other people first. But I think we see on a global scale that what's happening is that women are burning out.
Yeah.
We're in this place where most women have to work financially in order to, either maintain as a single mother, maintain as sin, or single and have no children, or to help provide for their family. It's very difficult these days to be able to. Also, most women don't want to, I can't do all that. they need to have their own voice in the world. They need to, like my mom stayed home most of my life. We have a family business, and so she was involved with that. But I've seen and heard what she feels like she lost during those years. We're still in this place where we're trying to figure out, how do we have it all? How do we have it all on our own terms? What does it look like? What does it feel? Is it as individual women, and then of course as the greater collective, but as individual women, we have to be asking for what we need every moment. And so that means I need a break, I need a nap, I need a snack, I need a glass of wine, I need to get away for a moment, I need a weekend, I need a babysitter, I need, whatever it is. And we have a whole month dedicated in IGC to needs and asking for what you need and knowing what you need. But it's definitely a challenge. And that's why I asked women, because I think that I think it is more of a female thing. Like, where we're just so used to taking care of everybody else, but we just shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink, and then we don't even know how to access our voices.
That's really interesting. There are, I was thinking about this too, though. There are,
so to end the cycle, we got to ask.
For sure, of course, but they're often in the leadership roles. They're superintendents, or they're running the organizations, or things like that. So it's kind of interesting to think about. A lot of the burnout still is kind of occurring in the quote unquote trenches in some ways. And that is still very female dominated.
Yeah.
So many of us, and again, particularly women, often find ourselves in kind of workplace situations that leave us feeling kind of powerless and inauthentic. What kind of communication tips do you have that best lead to those feelings of authenticity and power?
I think it goes back to the last question. Like, we have to be an advocate for our needs. We have to speak on behalf of our needs. And it comes to, so if you want things to be different, you have to first distinguish, okay, what do I really want? Because I do know that sometimes generationally, we are so used to not using our voices that when we do, sometimes we lash out. We're pissed, we're angry, we're frustrated because we haven't been saying what we needed along the way.
Right.
And if we think about it, like even in raising the next generation, right, investing our time in, we have to show them what it looks like to have a healthy relationship to our needs and to for what we need. And it's difficult. Well, there's also boundaries, and you need to be quiet at different times, and you can only eat, like there's all these rules and regulations. And so we have to learn to live in the society or the community that we're a part of, whether it's a school or a group or a church or whatever, but then also get what we need.
Sure.
Like we need. And I think the best way to be an authentic leader is to tell the truth, whether that means telling the truth and hey, I'm having a rough day, I really need you guys to like cool it down, or telling the truth to a colleague or your principal, asking for support with a student, or if you're having trouble with a situation, or really saying what we need. That's where our power comes from. Is through telling the truth.
And I like what you said too about modeling that for the students you're working with and for, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think it's a conversation I have a lot with people, that the tendency is often to put yourself second as an educator, but actually putting yourself first is what's really best for kids. In the end, it helps the kids benefit both from getting to see how to do that in their own lives, but also to get to experience you as your real, authentic, just real, raw person.
Yeah, it's almost like school is like a mirror to like the unit and home. Right? Because home is predominantly run by women. Schools are predominantly operated by women, and there are men involved. There's still, I talk gender, what I'm focused on. So that's what I'm looking at it through that lens. But, I think that if women are leaders in these places, then it's going to continue to be that way until we change it up. And if women are used to down what they need, putting down what they need, then that's what the community is going to become, right? Is like in schools, people aren't going to about what you need. It's not going to be normal to ask for more resources, and in the classroom, if you need more tools or budget or whatever. And so we have to be the trailblazers. We have to be the ones who will ask. We have to be the ones who will say, this isn't working anymore. And not from a place of like bitching and whining, because that's what I said before, like when we don't speak up for what we need consistently, sometimes we do get it that complaints are a low responsibility way of asking for what you need. So when you go to your principal and I have a team, I can't stand when people complain. I'm like, come to me with solutions.
Right.
And I'm a problem solver for a leader who's already struggling so much to hear what you need. If you're coming to it from a place of complaining, if you come to it from a place of, you know what, I've really looked at this and here's what I see and here's what the opportunity is and here are some solutions, the person that you're talking to is going to be able to hear you a lot better. So make sure process what you need and keep that in mind, that like when there's a complaint, there's often a commitment. And when there's a complaint, it's often a low response of asking for what you need. So if you can get more responsible and step in and say, you know what, I do have a complaint, I have a frustration, and here's we could solve it. You're going to get more people listening. You're going to get better ears to what you need.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's really helpful. Thank you for sharing that with us too. I want to open things up for some questions in a second if anyone has any. But before I do that, I want to also get really real with you too on this. And you've been very good at being real with us all day today. But I think we all know that kind of after years of adulting, in a sense, we get to learn that life can sometimes be what happens when we're making plans. And I know that what looks like a very successful life has sometimes been punctuated by challenges, pain, loss, and so forth for you yourself, as you kind of alluded to earlier. What can you tell us about that and how you make kind of, as Beyonce says, sort of like lemonade out of lemons on your hardest days?
That's a hard one, Alicia.
What's the secret, Katie?
I don't have a perfect solution. I've struggled a lot over the past couple of years. I live with a chronic illness. I had a half ago, completely unexpected. He was 20 years old, went through a bad breakup, but thank God I'm not anymore, And so he's gone, which is a terrible tragedy, but I don't have to worry about him every day. Right. And he was struggling. And there's this quote, I don't know if it's like, I don't even know where it comes from. I either heard it or it was transplanted to me in a dream. But it basically says that for everything gained, something equal is lost. And that for everything lost, something equal is gained. And, we're always balancing ourselves out. And so, I think that what you have to do is you have to find enough goodness to replace the sadness and the pain and the challenges. And I mean, I was so lucky. I had already started IGC when my brother died, which meant that I was dealing with a huge crisis 3 months into starting a new business. But I had all these women around me to support. But then I had to ask for what I needed, right? Like I had to be able to say, guys, I am like in a pile of tears. I cannot lead this call. Who can cover for me? And that's challenging. It's hard to say I'm not 100% today. And when you're going through something, which now that I've talked to so many people and shared my story, most people are going through something significant, or they did, and it has come back. Or so you have to be, you have to admit to yourself, I'm having a hard day. You have to say, like, like on the anniversary, ahead of time, I'm going to need a lot of people around me. I'm going to need to be with family. I'm going to need to either cut back on work or have an easy way to success. You kind of have to, like, I would say it's getting ahead of the breakdown and taking a look at, like, when my Lyme was really bad, what did I do? I worked from my bed. I worked from the couch. I figured out a way to make it happen. I created a job where I didn't have to leave my home. Like, there's always a way to survive.
Sure.
There's always a way to keep going. We just have to figure it out and be committed to whatever it is that we're creating. I wanted to show people that it was possible to, amidst all different kinds of tragedies. And so what am I doing? I'm continuing to keep going. Like, not every part of my life to be. That's why I was joking earlier that, like, my business is a nonprofit because it's like, I want to be profitable. I want to be like, just have all this extra money to do things for our team or, our members or whatever. But at this point, we're doing the best that we can. And my job is just to not give up and to continue to give a good experience to people, continue to listen to what people need, and continue to take care of myself so that I can do this sustainably. And we have to just keep coming back to that. And, your body will tell you when you're burning out. You got to pay attention to the signs. You have to take breaks. You know that, but it is a journey and it's not going to be perfect. But the main thing is you have to just be committed to not giving up. If giving up is not you will always be successful.
That's really important. And I think for sure in 2016, we as Americans and probably across the globe, we all are looking for the secret sauce or the, secret pill or something that will make pain go away or make things easier or something like that. But I think you're absolutely right in saying that it is just hard at times, and just recognizing that at times things will be challenging, and being gentle with yourself through that can just get you through.
And there's so much too. There's so much gratitude, and you do have to presence yourself. Like, that's why I say, like, I have a great life. I have a great life. It doesn't mean it challenges. And some people will say, oh my God, it's great, da, 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 and just gloss over. I'm just like I'm an advocate.
I love it.
So I'm like all real talk, like, I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not, but it is worth it. It is a journey. If you're committed to discover who you are, if you're committed to continuing to help other people and really make the world a better place, you just have to keep the next step.
I love that. Thank you. I could talk to you for hours, but I know you have other things to do today too. Is anyone on the line dying to ask any questions of Katie here?
I've got, like 20 questions. So first of all, I'm definitely going to get on to your website after this call, and I'm wondering if my present to myself might be to your organization and the resourcing you provide, because it looks like it could be really amazing. And not to infringe on on your terrain, Alicia, but when you get resources, I'm constantly telling people, do you know Alicia Robinson? Oh, you've got to talk to Alicia Robinson. Like, it's awesome. You're such an amazing resource because of a slowly here. Anyway, so feeling this is the beginning, not the end. I'm trying to think of what's the question I want to ask today. So I think one of the places that I'm in the middle of grappling, and I'm going to sort of ask this two ways, is that my aspiration, my goals for the last 10 to 15 plus years have been around developing myself as a leader in education. And I now am really thinking that because I don't know what being a leader in education reform means, and without the work and or more specifically the job being uber demanding. And the truth that I am committed to telling is that work must come second and my family is first, because I have 2 elementary school age kids and aging parents. And so I think where I'm grappling is I now don't know what that even means then to what I thought aspiration. And I think I finally landed in a place of patience and humor with myself. So like today I grow, and yet I know I really wanted to work and put myself into service. And I'm incredibly fortunate that at the moment I have to. It's interesting and challenging. But so I guess the question is like, so I was struck by what you said earlier about like, I can tell you what difference I want to make. It's like, and so is it any up on growing myself as a leader? But I really like maybe it's just a lack of imagination. I don't even know what that's supposed to look like, sound like, be like, when the only examples of what I guess I think of as leadership minus leadership are in schools or organizations that just require a crazy life that me for these next 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I'm okay with like just being in the question, but I'm not sure, I guess not really, because I need to join your group. Like, how do I reimagine my own leadership journey simultaneous with, just in this place of like, it can't look all these ways that I see it, but reimagining what that could look like is sort of the big blank slate to me. So just any response to that. Have you, totally. I'm sure there must be other women grappling with like balancing leadership development and motherhood and familyhood. And for me, in my job that I'm grateful for. I'm actually grateful to have sort of hit up against that wall, because now I know where my limit is.
And what are you doing right now?
So I am a consultant, but what that really means is that I have 3 contracts that keep me evaluator ed organizations, and I'm a curriculum developer.
Do you have a pen and paper? Okay. So I think
grab one.
Okay. So here's the first thing. The first thing is that I think you really need to redefine the word leader for yourself.
Yeah.
And I said this before, but I'll say it again in a different way. So like you, me, Alicia, and I've been Alicia, this circle, right? This is what we're doing. We're trying to redefine what it means to be a leader. I think we're creating the 5th wave or the 4th wave of feminism, or where, whatever it is. Like, to me, that's what's happening, is like, we're creating a new way of living and working, and that we are the trailblazers. I want you to write down the word trailblazer, because that's more important than being a leader. Like, it's the same thing, but when trailblazer, blazing a trail, I mean, that's deep stuff, and it's not easy. And I think what's challenging, and this is why we have conversations, is that the whole time you're asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And you just have to constantly tap in and ask your soul or God or your sisters, whoever you talk to, is this the next best thing? Is this the next right move? And I was talking to someone that Alicia and I both know and have done a lot of work with, Olivia Chapman. She's very close with both of us, and she's a leader in IGC. And I talking to her this morning, and we were talking about a business challenge, and she's like, Katie, like, here's the thing. We're still doing things not like years, and there's a system that works, and, because we're trying to get this technology to work with this system and talk to each other. I don't know what I'm doing. And so you have to be okay with not knowing what you said you are. But I think just reminding yourself, like, I surrender to the unknown. I surrender to the unknown. Surrender to the unknown. And that's going to help you tap into your higher power and your source and all that. You have all of the answers inside of you. You just have to start trusting that. That's a daily practice of, I trust myself. I trust myself. You know, I think what you're doing right now is great. It's great that you're a consultant. It's great that you've got these contracts, that you're kind of in the in-between, and you're looking, this was your past, this is your present, but it doesn't feel totally like it's the thing, and you're moving into future. That's great. My practice for you, my recommendation is, and you've probably already started doing this, but I would do more of it, and I would do it consciously, and I would take notes. Start having that conversation with, so that conversation of, I thought leadership looked like this. Now I think it maybe looks like this. I don't know. You know, the best way to have a breakthrough is to talk about the breakthrough that you want to have. So if I want to have a breakthrough around how to be a leader, I need to start talking to people about how to be a leader. I don't know all the answers. What do you see as leadership? Where have you been challenged as a leader? I would go to lunch with different women. I would go to lunch with men. I would go to people you admire and say, hey, I want to have a conversation with you about what's happening in our industry. You know there's a type of woman or a type of person who's more tapped in, who's more tuned in, and who's burning out really fast. And we do not, I say, like, I have this fear on the IGC website. It's free, so you can sign up for it. And somewhere in there I say, our biggest enemy is not fear, it's now. Because, like, women like us, we're not afraid. And we with fear and stuff like that. But in general, like, we can make it happen. You know, we can birth out the man or the child or whatever. The problem is, like, how many times can we do it by ourselves, not having a support system we have? That's we have to talk to each other, because you need to know that you're not alone. And when you start having these conversations with people more and more and start taking notes, you're basically doing mini focus groups. And that's, I think through that, you'll start to see what your next move is going to be.
Thank you.
Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And what's interesting is what I'm tapping into, the truth I'm tapping into in this call is that there's a part of me, and there's a part of me that there's a part of me that wants to just take a break, right? And not be earnest. Wow, I could almost saying this. This is really interesting, right? There's me that just wants to take a break from leading, right? Because it's hard, and it has been hard.
Yeah.
Wow, I am crying. And just be in this limbo space and be grateful to be, like, working and being in my life. Yet the bigger truth is limbo is a good place right now, but it's not a permanent place. This is like, it's a liminal, it's a transitional space for me. So I'm grateful to be here, yet it's not my future. So in order to move into a future differently than I've been in the past, I have to move back into that, committed to my own of what I really do, how I really do want to keep contributing and developing, and sort of re-enter the conversation with a new lens and a new set of questions. So yeah, I think what's great is, yes, to say that I've given up on being a leader is actually completely not a truth, even though at the moment it's tempting to just sort of lay that and, like, not deal with it for a while. And I also think that's okay. I may take the next 6 months and not deal with it. I don't know, right?
That is being aware.
Yeah.
Like, how can you lead from the place of taking a break? Like, I literally, for the past 2 years, led from, and it was perfect, but I led the mess. I led from my mess. I led from the pain. Like, I just showed up. And I needed a break. I wanted, like, all the time, you know? And the question is, like, how can you live a life that allows you to take whenever you need to? And you're a little maxed out on your leadership energy. So maybe the way you lead is just by connecting with other, you know, and saying, I know I'm a leader, I know I'm a trailblazer, and I'm exhausted. Right? It can be created from that place, because you're trying to come from like a masculine paradigm of leadership, which is what most of us are do.
That's true.
And it's the rush, the go, the I'm doing it on my own, the look at me, I'm the, you know, I've really tried to take the spotlight myself over the past couple of years, because I was like a snotty crying mess all the time. You know, I would get on the phone with the client, I would do my work. No, I know I'm good at what I do. So even if I'm operating at 70%, it's still great work. And I sense that about you too, like done.
Yeah.
But that's, the breakthrough is in learning how to lead from the place of taking.
Thank you. All right. I know what I'm giving myself for Christmas.
Awesome.
Totally.
Because I gotta have help to figure this whole. I gotta start again. And
and
I can't do it on my own. So.
I think Katie said all the right things about just kind of redefining what it means for you. And thank you so much, Katie. I took copious notes. Again, this is like a chance for me to get to learn from people too, but to share it with others. So I mean, the number of things I've learned from this conversation today.
Yeah.
Astounding. So I know I want to be respectful of Katie's time too, and everyone else's too. So my last question, which we can maybe write some more about in the Facebook community, is just about any resources and next steps, suggestions, and things like that Katie might have for people to consider. And again, this is not meant to be like this big plug of IGC or sign up for IGC or anything, but I do think that is the first big resource to point out that Katie could recommend to people to look at. As she said, there's some free resources on the site too that give you a peek into some of the work that she's doing and that I've gotten a chance to do over the last year or so. So that would be my big suggestion. And we'll get some other suggestions from Katie to share out in the Facebook community so we can let her go. Now, is there any last thing that you'd like to say, Katie, before we let you hang up here?
No, I just want to thank you again. I want to thank you for providing this space, Alicia. I see you as such a strong and powerful and embodied leader. And like, it's so obvious with you that you're doing things for the right reasons and that you're aligned in your mission, and equally student and teacher, and so I look up to you for what you're creating. I really do. And I'm be a part of it, in some small way, and just to see everything you're creating. And I get to connect with, I feel that about, the women in IGC, of course. And yes, we have great resources on innerglowcircle.com. There's a free course there. There's inspirational stuff, and we have some great women to connect with. But I think the best resources that we have are ourselves, our higher self. And you're helping me out with some stuff right now, Alicia, and kind of lending me your brain and your intuition and your impact just through showing up. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And now based on your advice here today, I am definitely going to work on being a trailblazer more and more. So thank you for being with us. Thank you to Jean and Christina and all the others who will watch this after the recording here today and get some value out of this. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.
Awesome.
Hope to see you tomorrow, Alicia.
Okay, great. Yay. Bye-bye.